Driven in colors I never dreamed. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took 'em all and made 'em yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed. Skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took 'em all and made 'em yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed. Skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome back to the Blitz series. I'm here with Goose. I'm, of course, Milo, aka Spy62, and we've got a great game for ourselves. It is going to be Mormon Battalion versus the team of Thrive. Very excited for this game. What do you see going into it, Goose?
This is a very even matchup. I'm very excited for this. Both of the teams highly contested in their overall map pools. We've had two teams fall out, simply just roster reasons. TSG Black is staying in, even though they announced on Twitter that they were going apart. They're not, apparently. Don't know, but with only two teams now gone, there are still two other groups that are so highly contested. So this is essentially a must-win game for both teams here.
Yeah, very important game. I'm pretty sure actually Mormon have already qualified because I think they're, isn't it, what was it called? Which is the team at their bottom have disqualified. So I think they're through, right?
Yeah,
so
I think they're through.
It's definitely must win for Thrive.
Yeah,
though.
it is. Yeah, especially since they lost to Lycus Empire, which is just still crazy to me. So because they lost,
I think that's an upset. Yeah.
Yeah. So because they lost that, this is a matchup that they kind of really must win, or at least get a 2-1 to get that extra point.
Yeah, but now we're going to go over the roster to see who is playing tonight. Obviously, you're going to see Team 1. I'm pretty sure that will be Mormon Battalion coming up first. No, it's Thrive coming up first, completely wrong. We're going to have Inrio, Candle, Twist, Brios, and Moses lining up tonight. Obviously, that's their mainstay 5. Most recently, for success for them, they won out for the 3Z Grand Finals against a rival 7.
Yeah, this is a team that just has always been consistent. You have that Inrio, Candle, and Moses core, obviously, and then adding a player like Brios just adds so much firepower and consistency in the entry position. So Thrive, especially if you're in-slotting a player like Aimkey, those kind of two players, not exactly. I think, in my opinion, Brios is a little bit more consistent on the entry front, so it is still an upgrade, but not necessarily a huge one that will propel Thrive to, like, the best team, but I do think it made them, more well-rounded. And now going to their opponents, Mormon Battalion, Wanted Goons Academy, it's just kind of a mesh of both of those teams. But yeah, it's kind of a team that also, as you said, has been consistent. They haven't really been able to finally get over that final hurdle, that being playoffs. But again, it's kind of a situation where both of these teams on paper are so evenly matched up. Until we at least get into the maps, I don't really have a good say of who's going to really win this one out.
Yeah, so talking about Mormon Battalion, let's look over their roster to see who is going to be playing for them tonight. Obviously, a very strong team in their own right. It'll be Trevmac, obviously their newest player, Aimkey, Volsper, Exige, and Scary, obviously Cassian not being able to play today, busy handling me and now we're going to see if Scary can sub in and do the business for his team. Obviously, Trev McNews edition, the thing I love about his tagline right now is the fact that it says, "I hate Jake." Which Jake do you think he means?
I'm gonna have to go with the man himself, Jake Allen, or, as most people know him, Exige, the head honcho of Mormon Battalion. And Scary has previously played with this roster in Blitz, I believe. I'm not sure if it was the group stage or if it was qualifiers, but I do know Scary did play him. And Scary is an up-and-coming player who has so much potential. He is around 16 years old, I think, so he is still relatively new to the comp scene in a sense. So he's kind of, what a lot of people would consider untapped potential, especially with his age.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game between these two teams. Curious to see if Aimkey can get his revenge for being dropped. And we're going to see where he needs to enact his vendetta upon, looking at the map bans coming up next.
Yeah, it is, a best of 3. If you're now just joining in and somehow don't know that we don't do best of 1s in the group stage, that should be expected. Mormon Battalion banning out Skyscraper. That is very interesting. That both of these teams do relatively like that map, so the fact that we're not seeing Skyscraper go into this best of 3 map pool is a little surprising on my end. Bank also being really loved by both teams, so not to say that we're gonna get a crazy map pool, because you already have Larry, you already have Border banned out, so we should get more relatively safe picks that, again, throughout this entire series so far, it's just so hard to judge, especially from a color standpoint. Obviously we do have their previous standings, but, the games where Thrive were really close and they, weren't able to shut it down, with more just problems within that day or the strats overall. I don't think it's a problem that the roster is going to consistently have, especially now that they've had time to really work on it.
Yeah, very well said. Oh, so the last time I actually casted these two teams, it was actually Skyscraper that came down to the deciding map, and it was Mormon that won it out. We're going to see what the 2 main maps they will be going to, what 2 main maps these 2 teams have picked in the end. We're going to see Chalet and Bank. I think 2 very good maps from both teams, in my opinion. I think every time I've seen Fry play Chalet, they've performed exceptionally well, and the same can be said for Mormon on Bank.
So maybe Bank was supposed to be a con ban, but we do have Bank. That is confirmed. I did remember that from looking at the map ban GGs. So Chalet and Bank make perfect sense. Thrive is a team that just absolutely loves Chalet. Historically, played it in Element 3, played it in, the other events, XGS, and also Mormon Battalion loving Bank. So these are one of, if not the strongest maps for both of these teams. So the fact that we get to go here to both of them should, in theory, lead to the idea that we will get a 1-1 start to the series, leading us to hopefully and eventually a map 3.
Yeah, the other thing about Chalet I actually want to point out, when I casted Mormon Battalion in Shock, actually, I'm pretty sure it was Reno Skyline on it. And Risky Run actually came into my chat and said, old saying was, you never take wanted goons onto Chalet. I'm not very much caught up on history for wanted goons, but I feel like that could also be a strong map for them. But talking about strong maps, let's see what the decider will be for both teams if we have to go to all 3 maps, and it will be Cafe. I'm not surprised on that consulate ban, by the way, mainly because the last time these 2 teams played was a 7-0 thrashing from 5 against Mormon Battalion in the Shock League.
Yeah, and, to be fair, if we're going, back to the Chalet and Bank, sure, Chalet's very strong for Thrive, and Bank is very strong for Mormon Battalion, but it's not a sense where the pick is worse for their opponents. Both maps are relatively good, even though it's not their opponent's map pick. Mormon Battalion can play Bank, and they're also very consistent and have been really good at Chalet. But if we go over to Cafe, not to, take anything away from Mormon Battalion, but we've just simply seen more from Thrive. Obviously, it's a completely, different roster. Not everyone, but, quite a bit of changes since Element 3 and XGS. But this is a map they've consistently not only been good at, but also really loved. And Mormon Battalion, not necessarily hating it, but just haven't played it as much to the extent that Thrive have.
Yeah, a very exciting game. I think 3 very good maps overall. Very default maps as well, you could say. And yeah, I feel like you see these maps quite a lot often. Obviously, you see Chalet, you see Cafe, and you obviously see Bank quite a lot, in my opinion. But I feel like that's going to help both teams. These are very fundamental teams. It will prove who is the best in terms of gun skill and in terms of a strategical aspect. So I'm very excited to just go through this game. For me at least, I'm going to put out my prediction here. I do think Mormon Battalion takes it. I think there's more on the line for them. I know in terms of points, Thrive really need this, but I think in terms of pride, in terms of egos, I think Mormon Battalion, especially with a player like Aimkey on the board, he'll want to get his get back.
Yeah, and especially on a map like Chalet, all the way back on Element 3, this is a map where Aimkey thrived in an elimination match, against.
I see what you did there.
I can't exactly remember the name of the team. Very
Blacklisted.
Oh, thank you so much for reminding me. Yeah, Blacklisted. Going all the way to 3 maps, eventually Aimkey just completely shutting down. So this is a map that Aimkey loves. As a player himself, removing him from the team as a whole. But I just think Mormon Battalion are more consistent, especially from what we saw in their XGS run, especially just with Jake Allen, Exige. He's a player that has a set system in place, and he just needs the right players. I think Scary is one of those players that could potentially open up Pandora's box to have a successful T3, hopefully leading up to a T2 Element 4 team.
Yeah, and now I'm pretty sure we're very close to getting into the game. I cannot wait to get this over with. And you made some very good points. Obviously, consistency is going to be important in this game. And I want to see how Brios does in this map, because I think obviously being the newest player, he's going to have a lot of eyes on him, and a lot of people know him, mainly from his 10-man server. I think that's mainly where people would have heard the name Brios. But he is a shooter, he can always shoot back, and as I'm saying this, I know this is a completely off topic, but SSG are looking like they're going to make the main stage. A man, obviously you yourself, Goose, you've just put on the SSG shot, and they have done it. SSG knock Dark Zero out. No, they haven't made base stage, sorry. Dark Zero have just been knocked completely out. SSG stay alive in the Montreal Major, and we're going to see them tomorrow to see if they can make main stage. I can't remember who it's against, but hey, if you're an SSG fan and if you're an NA fan, I mean, you couldn't lose if you're an NA fan, either team won, but hey, SSG go through, Ashen can continue screaming in the next game.
Yeah, honestly, you could lose if DZ won, because then you wouldn't have a 5th NA team potentially at the SI, but our producer and co-owner Namical will be able to not lose almost cursed there, not lose his mind tonight. Again, I don't know the full extent of what I'm allowed to get away with on this broadcast. Working TP on XGS, it's a very I got screamed at for cursing one time, so I'm very scarred for that. But yeah, and also just going into the overall map pools, as we continue to and before we get into the game, I think the ban of Oregon has had such a big impact on the map pools of teams in T3 and T2. Obviously, that's not the reason it was banned, let's be honest here. But now that, Oregon is banned, that default map that I think in February of this year, I casted Oregon like 6 times in a row in T4, which is just insane. But with the absence of Oregon, there hasn't really been a consistent map that all teams really go back on. We've seen Chalet, been propped up more. We've even seen Cafe specifically have a lot more play since Oregon been banned. But there isn't really one map like Oregon had a use for previously, where teams would just go to have a consistent and even playing ground. And we're seeing not only teams get more familiar with other maps, but as a whole, I do really think that it's just better for the region, whether or not teams just will not play later. It'll take a while, maybe after SI, teams will finally be able to like it. It is a horrible map in my opinion, but again, not a map that T3, T2 teams do really like.
Me personally, I think it's a very good map. I just enjoy the creative freedom you get. I think there's just a lot you can do on there. And I agree with you. I think it will definitely be used out a lot more after SI and more around that period. I think teams currently are using it as that unknown map they can pull out at any time and maybe just throw off a team, because they know that those teams may not be practicing on it, scrimming on it, because they want to be avoiding it. Because like you said, a lot of teams actually do not like the map. But I think it does fit similar into the theme of, I think, Consular. I think it's very similar to Consular. It's a very large map. It's a very compact map, though. So I think a lot of gunfights will come in those close-range engagements, such as that's why I think shotguns are strong on both maps. I think you can get away with a lot of mute, a lot of smoke play.
Yeah, it is a situation where there is just a lot to really do. And I think also Chalet is a very utility-heavy map. Because it's just, if you're not able to use utility, both these teams that's not a problem for them. I think Intel as a whole is a problem for just most amateur teams. So it's kind of a situation where we're going into this where it's just both teams have to show up. And if one team can figure out the other, which both teams are historically really good at finding gaps in their opponents, again, it is just a match that is so evened out. Not because, obviously the skill level of both teams, but the play styles just mesh so well.
And we will be getting into the game, opening up with the ban phase. Mormon Battalion starting on the defense, so they get the opening ban going through. I'm going to make my predictions very quick. I think it's going to be Monty, I think Ying, and then Valkyrie and Azami. I think they're bans I'm going for.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Azami, has just been notoriously banned throughout this map of Chalet. Monty, you'll probably see Grim. I'm not going to say it's surprised. It is a operator that Mormon Battalion tend to prefer to get out of the way. It's not, an operator they really like. And to be fair, Grim is one of the best operators, especially after his buff a season or two ago. So just especially the execution utility, just getting him off the board is really great. And to be fair, it's a little surprising because Mormon Battalion is a team that really loves to put focus on that execute on the attack. Obviously, they're starting on the defense, so it won't have too much effect starting out. And then, of course, that Monty ban. I can't even name the last matchup that I've casted or even watched where Monty wasn't banned throughout T2, T3, and even T1.
No, yeah, he's just a very strong operator, able to get that ground very quickly, especially with, obviously, the melee priority. I think that's the main thing people don't like about the current shield changes, is going to be the fact that even if you knife first, if he knifes, like, a teeny second after you do, then you'll still be knocked down. This army, though, does go, obviously, in my opinion, the strongest defender in the game. Just so much creative freedom. I wouldn't say his army's overpowered, but I would say she just gives the defense so much freedom and so much creativity to mold the map in the way that she likes and how they like to maybe set up a push.
Yeah, it just really makes playing those extended positions a lot safer because you don't have to be worrying about being shot in the face. And it gives just the attack another problem, another piece of utility to deal with, especially since it's just so flexible. You can put it anywhere. But to start off the very first round, we'll be going all the way down the kitchen and dining, and we can already see Rive bringing out the Deimos, and I absolutely love that pick. Obviously, I don't know if they will stick onto it, but we can already see that pairing that Deimos with the Dokkaebi, there's already the very first round to start off the entire series, to really set the momentum and pace of this entire game. Rive are putting a lot of emphasis on just getting that intel, and then you have Candle on Finka. Oh, switching over to Gridlock now, that makes a lot more sense. Finka just, I don't want to say she doesn't have any use, but it's like, it's kind of a waste of a pick because you don't really bring any utility aside from healing your teammates. But nonetheless, yeah, just Rive already putting a lot of emphasis into getting that intel, which, in T3 and T2, there's like a little mini pocket meta where we're seeing teams on the defense do a really good job at denying that intel, denying that drone economy.
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
Yeah, there's actually a thing I noticed recently. It was actually from the Major. I'm pretty sure Fresh tweeted out about when you ban a certain operator, then using the perfect counter with DC using it. Not a lot of teams do that, and that's something that I liked seeing was the mute ban to use that Deimos and Dokkaebi to its full advantage. Obviously, we're not going to see Dokkaebi anymore, switched off it, and we're not going to see mute anyway on the side, but a lot of ground already taken by Thrive, pushed into games, no one really contests them. It's looking like it's going to be this library over clear coming out from the side of Thrive, already fully deep into bar as well. Nothing really to stop them, but to be fair, the problem is the main control they're going to need to get is going to be that top floor control. They need to make sure they have the offer control so they can control the top-down advantage so they can slowly work that part. So their first two steps of control is going to be opening up that office wall, and then after that opening up the main site wall, and that's where the 2-Growl comes advantage for Mormon Battalion and the Cade, because maybe they can trick it by using obviously the 2-Growl canisters and the Cade Claw to just zap out any hard breach that goes down. And they've only got the A, so it's a lot easier to trick out as well.
Yeah, and you can already see the, emphasis from Mormon Battalion on just denying a lot of space. They have that Fenrir paired with the Castle and the Maluzi, so it's just going to make it a really difficult time to clear this top floor site. And you can already see that Mormon Battalion, even with all this pressure, because that wall over in default plant is allowed to still stay up, they are allowed to just play here comfortably. There isn't really any immediate pressure coming out from Mormon Battalion, or Thrive rather, and they're allowed to just sit here. Now this essentially forces Thrive to maybe contest with the idea of just going for the breach without getting complete 100% vertical control.
Yeah, we're going to see Twist trying to at least get some kind of control. Candle will actually get the opening pick onto Exige, but Volspa instantly answers back, taking down Candle. A complete beautiful trade coming out from Mormon Battalion. AIMKey looking for any players maybe walking through that breach. Very good control. But Moses, he's walked in. AIMKey gets one, but it's instantly refired as Twist also takes down Trevmac. And now Inrio takes on Volspa. It's scary. The substitute left alive in this 1v3. Is he able to control? The C4 guys at least gets one. Now Twist and Inrio trying to take him out. This tracker goes down. They know exactly where he is, or at least the Deimos can call out the entire time, but there's still the solo cam. He runs up the stairs, but the ping is still on him as Twist at least gets the refrag. It did come down to that 1v1, but I would say Thrive played that very, very well, able to take that ground very quickly using their control. I think only minor misstep is not knowing that AIMKey was still behind half wall.
Yeah, even with that huge misstep, the fact that Thrive were able to just go onto that top floor and just absolutely go for a brawl with little to no time on the clock. Obviously, they had around a minute, but they didn't have enough time to waste, because if they lost those bodies on that top floor, if that clear was not successful, then they wouldn't have had wall open, they wouldn't have vertical control, and then they would not have had any win factor whatsoever, not even a man count. So taking that risk paid off indefinitely. It's kind of a situation where Mormon Battalion really should not have lost that. A lot of questionable plays coming out there, especially just one play for me is like, why did we have Scary on Cade? He's on the Warden now. That makes a lot more sense. And, you know, if Mormon Battalion continues to make those questionable decisions, or rather mistakes, they're going to be punished for it. And I absolutely love this spot with AIMKey on the Scopos, putting one of the drones in that, you know, little kill box inside of library where usually you'll have a Capitao, because he can just instantly switch here if there is a Capitao, and on top of that still have a drone and be able to relay to his team if they did take that space.
Yeah, and I'll continue on your fact with Scary. The other question apart from me, I'd get it if Scary was subbing in for maybe your hard support or one of your support players. He's subbing in for Cassia. I'm pretty sure Cassia plays that flex role, or I'm pretty sure, yeah, he plays the flex role, I'm pretty sure. So it's curious to see why maybe he's playing that more support operators, but it is looking like maybe coming out for a rush. The Sense is an interesting pick for me, but it's going to be played in tandem with that Glaz. AIMKey still on this top floor. I think he just switched back. The drone's coming out, so they know he's here. Not much to clear, but Twist does get the opening pick with that SMG-11. The nade goes out. It's going to at least destroy the drone. So now no more switching up and down for AIMKey, as they now have to come back from down from that man disadvantage. Volspa down early. The positive thing is his shield is still up, his frost mats are still up, so not much utility actually lost for the side of Mormon Battalion. Only that main gun, especially Volspa going down. I feel like he's been one of their star players throughout these games. And AIMKey gets to tag back onto the player that replaced him on this team. And now they sit even, and AIMKey with a double, taking out Moses, but Inrio at least takes down Scary into this 3v3, going into the final minute 30 left.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have Exige with a little bit of a roam / extension over into Kitchen, even eyeing up potentially getting this flank. And with the situation that Thrive is, not necessarily low on time, but in a 3v3 trying to get into the site, Trev, though, finds one on a Candle, and now this gives Exige an even better opportunity, but also Thrive, if they so do choose and read, they could take this 2v2 and completely clear the bomb site with plenty of time still left on the clock.
The only part, if they go for that moment, as soon as he knows, as soon as Exige realizes, hey, they've dropped, he'll fully go back, take that well control back for his side. AIMKey taking a little bit of damage from that shotgun. I don't think Twist even knows that he shot him a little bit. And there you go. Exige, he's going for that lurk, pushing up slowly and surely. I don't even think they know he's there. They haven't changed their attention. They haven't even moved their eyesight over towards him. So I don't think there's any flank drones maybe established for 5 in this moment. Exige is in such a power play position, but just waiting, biding his time. 40 seconds left on the clock as the time slowly ticks down and down, but he could miss his opportunity, because if Inrio drops here, he could take out AIMKey here. I feel like AIMKey will be ready for it. Nade gonna go out, maybe to move the scopers a little bit. Flash in tandem as well, but neither player. No, he at least stays down. Try back, and AIMKey also going to make siege on the top floor. Inrio now, with the diffuser in hand, can definitely go for this plant here. Is slowly going to start being established on the board. We'll see. Inrio, 45 HP, 4k on the round so far. or 2k on the round so far. Yes, gets it down. Exige now in this 1v1 situation. C4 in hand, but he doesn't know he's inside a stock. A great play by Inrio to kill both players on site and then take down the final player, dropping hatch. Very, very questionable in my opinion from Exige. He just took way too long on that flank.
Yeah, the position that Exige was you win. You win the entire round. There's no flank drones. Even if there was a flank drone, it was only going to be one because all of that utility, all of that drone economy was already depleted. And on top of that, that 2v2 essentially, what that turned into a 1v2 on the bomb site. Again, when Mormon Battalion hold a favorable position, they just somehow in these previously 2 rounds have found a way to lose it, or at least, you know, to better word it, Thrive have done a great job at finding those gaps, finding the blind spots in these crossfighters that are being held in the late round on these extensions, or even on the bomb site like we just saw on Bar, where they're able to just skip past and get kills for essentially free, where they can shoot a player at least in the back or in a position where that defender is not expecting a gunfight to come to them in that specific position. And again, you know, I talked about in the pre-show that, you know, the drone problem probably wasn't going to be there. The overall consistency and structure for these teams will not be there. It will just simply come down to whichever team can read into their opponents better, and so far it's been Thrive.
I completely agree, and yeah, Thrive, they look like they probably shouldn't have gotten away with that round, but in the end they were able to use, they knew exactly what they needed to do. They knew the X and Y even in that 2v3. They knew the main control they needed. I think the grenade and the flash play is what really got them the round, because they had to clear out AimKey a little bit to move him away close from the door so he couldn't swing out when they were dropping the hatch, and that's exactly what happened. He threw the nade out, made sure AimKey couldn't swing down as soon as he dropped down, and then it gave the advantage for the Sense. Never really see a Sense hero play, not the strongest operator in the current meta, but now we're going to see maybe a Clash hero play coming out from Exige, trying to do his best packet impression inside of the basement of Chalet. Already wasted a Claymore by just using a little bit of his HP, probably a good actually piece of value coming out. And it does look like they're going to be trying to take this side over, so the Clash will be their biggest hindrance in this moment in time.
Yeah, you know, that's been a really big, not necessarily problem, but a really big factor that Thrive, sure, in previous times, in the first 2 rounds, they did waste a lot of time in that early round, but it never was a problem because when they were able to activate on a specific position, they just win the gunfights. They find how to, I guess you could say, not necessarily deactivate the positions, but use the positions of what Mormon Battalion had set up to their own willing and benefit. And this has been, you know, a playstyle that Thrive has had throughout their entire existence as a team. Just if they do find one avenue, they focus on it. They do not give up whatsoever, whether or not it leads to just them losing an engagement, losing all of their manpower and utility, and then just not having another win factor in the round. But when it does work out in the previous 2 rounds, that's when you see their success. But now the problem is there's not a lot of opportunities, but this flank is spotted out by a drone.
Yeah, AimKey can definitely be taken out in this position. But so far, nothing coming from that drone. He's still alive. They know he's upstairs, so they won't at least be caught off guard when he tries to go down for that flank. He's still inside. Nope, there you go. It's taken down. He walked inside a piano. Inrio had his cut off all the way from the roof, and now Thrive sit in this man advantage, especially with a Clash on the board. Obviously, Exige, he does have a gun, but most of the time he will be having that shield in his hands, being sure just to slow down. So it will be, and the nade will take him out as well. A beautifully timed but Vosper with a double on the board. Jake Allen may have gone down, but Vosper had his back, got a double trade in this situation, and a third. Rio's also going down. Wonderful shots from Vosper. He could get forfeit. No, he gets taken down, but Trevmac had the trade onto Candle, and now it's all up to Inrio against Scary and Trevmac in this 1v2. Plant will start to be attempted, but they have 2 bodies to throw at, and a C4 doesn't land, doesn't kill him, but the plant does go down. At least get some of those stats. As Scary gets the trade in the end, and now a little bit of BM afters, but Mormon, they get their first round on the board thanks to heroic plays from the tuber round.
Out of the 3 bomb sites that they won, kitchen, bar, and now basement, the one that they win on defense, which is statistically the least favored, right next to master, is basement. Kind of weird, but the main winning factor there is you just simply had someone on Mormon Battalion that was in a position that was able to shut down the entry into the execution from the previous 2 rounds when Thrive were going into the execution phase, trying to make their way into an important position right outside the map, or if it just simply is making their way into the site to try and get that bomb down, Thrive won those gunfights and shut down those entry points. But that time around, you had Wolfsburg who showed up, and we talked about in the previous one when he lost his life very early on that was going to do a whole lot of damage in the long run for that round. And we saw when you have Wolfsburg up, he still has so much opportunity to shine and make an impact. But the problem now is if you only have Wolfsburg showing up, if you continue to have these Mormon Battalion players on these extended positions around or in the site that Thrive try and take, and they continue to lose it, and you only have Wolfsburg showing up, you're going to lose. You can't rely on one singular player. And we've seen a lot of questionable decisions even around this inconsistency from their entry and fragging players. And if we continue to see that Thrive, they're in a position to continue to take advantage of it.
I also think you could go for a similar situation for Thrive right now. If you look at their scoreboards, Candle, Breers, and Moses, all 3 of them, they really have not shown up to this game so far. 3 or 2 kills per 3 in all 3 of them. Very poor. You've got Inrio and Twist at least putting up some numbers. A player very close to this live window could definitely get aggressive here. It's going to be Aim Key looking for this early gunfight onto the gridlock of Candle. Neither player are going to find the lick of damage hit onto them, and he can get back to site. A little bit of shots given out to maybe scare Candle away from taking it as quick as he would like to, especially in that last round they were defending here. Thrive, they took library control, they took games control, and they took bar control in the first 30 seconds of the run. So they have slowed down a little bit here, but they still get the control at least in a minute, and now they can slowly start working on getting this piano control, getting this offer control, and getting both these breaches open. I mean, I'm curious about why they decide to take the ace maybe over the thermite. I would say, I feel like having those bigger breaches open just allows you maybe more advantageous situations deep inside of office and deep inside of the site.
Yeah, but you also, you got to take into mind that you're going to have a cage, you're going to have a tuber out, so just having that more flexibility with that ace charge. Like if you lose 1 thermite charge, that's half of your entire breach, but if you lose 1 ace charge, you still have 2 on the board. It's also kind of easier to time too, especially with 3 or 2 of them now because they nerfed it. If you miss 1, you still get a whole opening. It's just, more impact, I guess you could say. But, it also doesn't hurt to have an ace and a thermite on the board. But we can already see that Thrive are putting a lot more emphasis on just having a lot more execution utility. But Aim Key getting the very first opening pick onto Candle. Not going to do a whole lot of damage, but nonetheless a great way to stop and slow down this pace of this aggressive attack.
Yeah, Aim Key's actually done really well in these open picks so far. I'm pretty sure he's gotten 2 out of those 4 rounds. And they don't know that Exige was just in the middle of Piano. And now he's going to go prone, waiting for the jump in inside of Piano. But Brios at least gets 1 back onto the hero of last round. But instantly fragged back out by Exige. He's doing wonders in this round so far. And maybe going to get a third. No. Beautiful shots again coming out from Inrio. He has been their star player to put up these numbers to get the man advantage back time after time. Moses still out on Repel, still yet to also get his opening frag. All the players now are going to be onto that first floor. The second floor completely given up by the defenders. But with only 20 seconds left onto the clock for the side of Thrive, things are going to get dicey and things are going to try and get desperate. You see Inrio with the Candela still in hand. At least he's got 1 left. But Scary, he has a C4 in hand. Aimkey's got a C4 in hand. And now there's only 10 seconds left. Diffuser still not ready to go down. Trophy is going to be the place where they try to get it down. But Inrio, he gets the kill. And now the 2 players are left out of sight. Aimkey, Inrio again! What have I just seen?
There's been so many situations where it's like, Mormon Battalion, how do you lose that? How do you lose that?
I think I can tell you how, though. I think it's their positionings. Like, there's 1 player in sight, and the other 2 players will now have to funnel through a doorway to maybe stop the plant. I think it comes down to positioning.
I mean, even in that sense, again, why is the positioning bad? We've talked about, and it's known that Mormon Battalion is one of the most structured teams. Oh, thank you for changing the Thrive logo.
I'll change it back.
Yeah, but Mormon Battalion is known for their structure, is known for having that consistency and not giving up those man advantages. And, I don't exactly want to, really chip it out to be this because obviously it's, it could just be a slow start. But also, it could be in a sense if we start to see these problems of just giving up these man advantages, having these poor positions, just not having this structure and communication. Obviously, you have a sub, but you know you've played with Scary before. You've scrimmed, we've trialed with him. You understand how he plays with the team, just as an individual player. But if this starts to snowball later onto this map, onto the second half, and on to the second map, you could potentially say that Mormon Battalion haven't just really shown up. But I really do hope that they start to potentially wake themselves up, because they keep losing positions in rounds that should not be losable.
I'm pretty sure Scary's actually played every single a Blitz game this season for Mormon.
Okay.
So they're actually more used to playing with him than his own team, because I'm pretty sure I was told yesterday that this is actually AIMKey's first Blitz game in the regular season. So he seems more like the outlier so far in this team, but obviously that's the team they practice with. I'm more questioning for me, how will TrevMac now fit into this new system under Jake Allen's leadership? So far, he's not doing too badly. 2-3, I would say he was one of the players that made a poor play in that last round, but it's not solely on top of him. They will again rotate the bomb site. Going back to this barn, AIMKey goes down first. Beautiful clear coming out from Candles. From Brios, actually, who took the kill in the end. It looked like it was going to be Candles, but Brios gets the opening frag on the board. I said AIMKey was doing well in those opening kills advantage, but he does go down first, sadly enough for their team. Scary still there, trying to hold on to this type of position. Right now, it's him and, I say, Siege on this top 4, but Siege is, never mind, he's in kitchen now. Siege dropped down below. So it is Scary on an island trying to combat all these players, trying to make sure they just can't take this position. Right now, he's doing a good job. No player has at least gotten inside of Library, but at some point he will be overrun, and especially with Nade still in the pocket of both Twist and Candle, they can definitely just throw them out. But look at this. Twist instead, he's going in mud. I say that as Scary does get taken out by Inrio. And now, in this 5v3, Thriver looking to just completely stomp down onto the main bomb site.
Yeah, not a whole lot of opportunities here, but they continue to shut down every just little bit of life. And there it is, Candle and Twist just finishing off that entire round. This is just what Thrive has been known for. They will take their time to just find every little nook and cranny, every small gap and crack in the defense, and then just unleash an onslaught of an execution. That time around, it was on a bunch of different points around the map. That extended position upstairs on Library, trying to get rid of that Warden, and then also directly onto the bomb site with that double window, and you even had a player creeping over in Fireplace. And this is just why Thrive has had so much success, not only in this map, but in previous series, and why they're just such a great team, is because their attacks are so multi-dimensional that as a defense, going up against a team like Thrive, you're going to be pushed from multiple different points, and if you're not ready and if you're not prepared, and especially if you have players like that Warden upstairs that was completely isolated with little to no defender utility by him, it's essentially barbecue chicken for Thrive. And on top of that, you have Mormon Battalion playing in what should be some of their best positions with man advantages. Losing that, there's just really nothing going in the favor of Mormon Battalion, and to be fair, it is at the feet of their own mistakes.
5 seconds left before
I'd have to agree. A little positive for Mormon Battalion, even if they lose this game, maybe 7-1 to 7-2. Last time these two teams played a proper best of 3, they actually lost the first map 7-1, and Mormon Battalion was still able to come out with the victory in the end, 2-1 over maps. But the thing is, the starting map was 7-1 on Bank, and that's going to be the next map. And Volsper, you don't want to be missing those shots when you're 4-1 down. An easy opportunity probably to take out the star player in the lobby. Inrio, I said he was the only player putting up numbers for his team, but Twist and Candle did great in that last round to be able to get those opening and starting frags. Brios as well got a frag. Scary reinforcing the hatch very late into the round, and he's going to be taking out because of that Twist. Is that down to maybe having a sub, having a new player? Your site setup just isn't set up correctly and isn't done in time.
It's kind of a difficult situation. Eventually, though, that's a huge opening, or trade back, rather, from Trev. And, you know, Trev is a player that has had a lot of promise. He hasn't really been able to find the right team, the right system to really flourish. He's had, you know, a couple of good games, but he's never really been let off the leash, per se. But, you know, so far he has had a really great game. Again, finding another trade back as Twist does get aim key. We can see Inrio all the way outside by Highway, just completely isolating himself from his team. So as of now, a very difficult situation for Thrive. Not having that snowmobile wall open, still trying to work their way around the map. And on top of that, you still have that clash on the board to deny so much time and positioning on the man himself.
And a different positive is Volspa's still going to be on board as well. He was the hero of the last time they went to this basement bomb site. And a positive for Mormon Battalion is TrevMac, after getting those 2 frags, he was able to completely run back to site. No trade this time coming out for Thrive themselves, as TrevMac all the way back down to site can replay his life inside a basement, play with his team. And now we're going to see what Thrive are going to get done. Inrio looking for any pick he can through these vertical holes, but none is going to be given his way. Hatch is going to be opened up. The hatch, never mind, it's going to be Tuberad actually. With Volspa still on the board, it's going to be slowed down. Obviously, that hatch costed Scary his life, and that could be a massive play for him, but the hatch is now finally going to be fully open. But that's a lot of utility and a lot of time wasted just trying to get that kitchen hatch fully opened. And now Siege still going to be on the board. Goyo Canisters still on the board. 1 taken down. And now, look at the Twitch. Ran into sight Brios, but he doesn't have the fuser. And Moses taking all the damage, but he takes down Volspa. Another fuser is going to start being planted. It's going to be up to TrevMac and Siege. And if Siege knows where the planter is, he can definitely take him out. He's going to take it down. The gunner, he at least gets 1. But he's now on an island. He's on his lonesome. And he takes out Brios as well. Another whiff. And the last player, he's going to be on Vocal. He cannot see the diffuser from there, but he can see when they go.
Oh!
And he gets a Rio again on the round. They didn't know where he was. Honestly, that is a very poor position if they are able to get past, but they couldn't. They had no idea. They just went past, tried to get that diffuser completed, and it ended up being another hero play from Inrio. Another round 4-5 as they sit 5-1 up after their attacking half.
That's tough. You can't really do much when you're playing against, like, I guess prime LeBron James has just replaced Inrio. It's just insane. When you have a player that is just completely unstoppable, and, you know, it is his singular opposition. You know, obviously, Thrive, you know, as a team does help. They give him the info. But his individual capability to not only find the gaps, create those openings like that vertical above, just completely not even being with his team, but still also setting up a completely different win position for them. It's kind of a situation where he brings so much individual value where you don't have to help. They didn't have to help him rotate up there. They didn't need to drone him. They didn't need to, you know, help him run across a crossfire. He found his way up there. He found exactly where he needed to make that vertical hole all on his own. And when you have a player like that, it takes so much luggage off of the shoulders of the rest of the players, and it allows them to just really play with a clear mind. And on the other side of Mormon Battalion, you don't really have that courtesy, and you can already see how much it's really been punishing them.
Yeah, the consistency of how good Thrive are really coming up to Mormon Battalion. I think it's just a little bit of nerves maybe coming to their first game, as there's just so many small mistakes that I don't think you'd normally see coming out from a side like Mormon Battalion. I definitely think that it could have been an even split. I think with how those rounds have gone, Mormon Battalion definitely could have won 3, maybe even 4 of them. But Thrive, especially like you said, with Inrio becoming his prime version of himself that he can be, he's very much just shut the jaw down. And now we're going to see maybe if Mormon can do better on their attacks. Obviously, Siege, a game of 2 halves. Anything can happen after this side switch. The opening bomb site is going to be Kitchen, the same opening bomb site that Mormon Battalion decided to use. And there's going to be not much actual site presence right now coming out for the side of Thrive. It's only going to be Moses on side of site. You have a lot of pressure being put on Library. That's a difference from how Mormon defended it. They started all the way deep inside of Piano. I think one round they had aim key start in Library, but pushed away very early on. But you see Inrio, you see Twists, and you see Brios, and you see Candle actually all starting closer to the Library side than they do even to Piano, but they're going to pivot here. You can see Mormon try to maybe go for the direct. TrevMac already sledging open the window and jumping inside as they go for this site rush.
Oh.
Twist, a double Oh, Cap can kill! How has this gone down? Trevmac at least gets one back, but he's on a lonesome deep inside of West Main.
Recover the
And now the defenders have come back to site. They're looking for the answer. Brios gets one. It's up to Aimkey and Trevmac. Never mind, it's all up to Aimkey. The former Thrive player cannot get it done as Candle takes him down and puts Thrive onto map point so early on.
Wow. Again, it is just astonishing that throughout these 6 rounds that Thrive have put up, I can really just say that Mormon Battalion is not showing up. They didn't drone enough. They didn't drone that door. And, you know, if they just did enough their due diligence, if they did enough time of just trying to gather that info rather than saying, oh, I see one gap, we can try and take this bomb site and try and, you know, get a quick one on them, try and catch Thrive off guard. Because they didn't do, you know, enough of that due diligence, because they didn't gather enough info, they allowed for that Capcan trap to slip by their sites in 2 kills. Rios wasn't even in the area. Or the Capcan, at least. I don't remember exactly who the Capcan was. A Twist, I think. Yeah. It wasn't even in the area and still got the kills. You cannot let that happen. And now I can definitively say, at least for now, those problems of Mormon Battalion taking those shortcuts, not relying on that structure that they've built up with the system they have in place, is starting to snowball now onto the second half. And, you know, sure, it is in a position where Thrive are playing so good that they're able to punish them so heavy-heartedly. But again, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Thrive, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, a random T5 team. You can't make these mistakes, especially with what we've seen previously from Mormon Battalion.
Yeah, and now we're going to see, again, the same secondary bomb site that Mormon Battalion went to. It is going to be the Bar Gaming bomb site. Surprisingly, not seeing a single mirror come out this entire game so far. I know player that I see played quite a lot on every single site that's actually been on Chalet. But as I'm saying this, Brios took a lot of damage trying to maybe go for that early spawn peak, that early aggression. Luckily, just getting away with his life. Obviously, no Doc, no Thunderbird going to be on the board, so no way to get him back up to that full HP. Exige at least getting some advantage early on, opening up that castle barricade, and nearly taking out. No, he does take out, but as I'm saying that, Twist took out Volsburg right before Exige was able to refrag him. So advantage goes in the favor of Thrive, especially with Aimkey going down and finished off by Brios, and that's going to be your Ying down as well. Both your Lion and Ying going down this early, very chalking, especially when it is 2 of the players that are able to be putting up numbers in this board. To be fair, Siege now is actually the top frag after he got that refrag earlier on, doing good work with that force. Scary though, taking some advantage, getting a pick back with that Capital. Very risky play. Maybe could have lost all the utility he still had left in pocket, be that Gon 6, 2 fireballs and 2 smokes. But he's able to get the pick on Brios because how low he was from that opening engagement. And now we sit in the 3v3, seeing how Mormon can maybe start setting up an execute here.
And they do have plenty of time left on the clock, that being a minute 20. You do have these Flores drones that not only are able to clear this utility, but again, push out this player. Trev, though, just missing that engagement. Also, Scary taking a little bit of damage, but with this top floor almost clear, they do get the down and a kill with it. This is now an opportunity that Scary has created, but Inrio starts to slow that down.
Yeah, C4 going onto the roof as soon as the refrag was burnt out, looking for when maybe one of the players walks up to this top map position. Scary retakes his diffuser. He may be able to go for a plant right now, as there is actually no C4 now left onto the hand. He can definitely smoke out that advantage. Hatch control is established, but they think maybe someone is inside of Mud. No one is actually going to be here. There's a bad read here from the side of Thrive, as I think Scary is now about to jump in, maybe going for this diffuser. No, he's actually inside of Library instead. So he's looking to maybe drop this hatch. I'm curious to see what is the idea coming out for the side of Mormon, as he's looking for any chance he can get to put those firebolts down to maybe dislodge the player inside of Sock. But he'll still be able to swing this hatch. Never mind, they're going to take him out. No, shotgun close range.
Oh,
gets another double, ending the map, winning it. 7-1, basically flawless. Mormon Battalion able to get at least one more round than they were able to muster last time they played Thrive, but not enough. Something needs to change for Bank.
What do you do, man? What do you do? Oh my god. In Rio, just throughout that entire game, it's just kind of one of those situations where you can only do so much. And the positioning that you talked about earlier traveled over to the attack. In that execution, the positioning throughout that entire game, especially losing those 2 picks to isolated engagements, should not happen. And again, a player like Scary on top of it, not really playing to his fullest potential. We know that he's a player that can just get into the building, shoot, and shut down those entry engagements. But because we didn't see that on top of just the failure of their structure and their system set in place, just everything fell down in front of them. And when you have a player in Rio who's not only absolutely goated, but also is a great player at identifying those mistakes and gaps, there's only really so much you can do.
Now we're going to see if Inrio can keep it up onto the second map of Bank, or can Mormon Battalion muster a comeback after a devastating and a demoralizing first map. They've done it before. Can they do it again? It's all in their hands, but we will be going on a short break, but don't go anywhere. We've got more great siege action to come for you.
Feelings. It's like I can't walk on the ceiling. Oh yeah, got me dreaming, dreaming in colors I never dreamed in. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed. Skipping out, no, I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh. Magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed. Skipping out, no, I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby. I'll be there when the lights don't shine. I'll be there in the sleepless nights. I'll be there, make you feel alright. I'll be there, I'll be there. I'll be there when the lights don't shine. I'll be there in the sleepless nights. I'll be there, make you feel alright. I'll be there, I'll be there.
Welcome back to Blitz. I'm still Milo, still joined by Goose. And if you missed map 1, it was a very dominating display coming out from Thrive and Inrio, who dropped 17 kills. A 7-1 display. Very, very surprising, to be completely honest.
Yeah, not to say like Inrio is a bad player, he shouldn't have had 17 kills, but it's more than the fact that Mormon Battalion played so bad. I don't want to sound like that one meme that you have to work on and then just names everything, but like their overall structure and system that they've set up place, they're not a team that has a lot of individual just players that can really just pop off like you have with Brios and Inrio. And because of that, they have this structure set in place, but we didn't see the consistency in their positioning. We didn't even see them win rounds where they had a man count and a very good positioning on top of it. There were 2 to 3 rounds on the attack where Thrive not only were down in man count, but had no map control whatsoever, somehow find a way. And, to be fair, it's simply due to their great enabling and great opportunity spotting. If there is a gap or a crack in the defense, if you let a crossfire have a blind spot, Thrive will find it and take advantage of it. And that's what we saw in the very first map, which, keep in mind, it was their map pick, but I still don't believe, especially with the caliber of both of these teams, it should not have been a 7-1.
I completely agree. Obviously, now, in the last 2 maps they've played each other, it's been 7-0, 7-1 for Thrive. Not looking too good if you're a Mormon Battalion fan or even a player, especially if you're aim key trying to get your revenge and prove them wrong for dropping you. But let's go over the game overview so far. Obviously, we've just said we had Chalet. And map 2, obviously being banked. The last time these 2 teams played, it was 7-1 to Thrive. So it's not looking too good if you're Mormon. But to be fair, like I said last time, Mormon, the last time these 2 teams played a best of 3, they lost 7-1 first map, 1-8-7 second map, and then 1-7-2 themselves in the third map. But you gotta say, if you're Mormon, there's so much stuff you have to fix going into this next game. Like you said, their positioning was just all over the place, I've got to say. Even on attack, it just seemed questionable. And I've also got a question putting Scary on that role. I feel like you need to free him up more. I think Scary is one of those players that if he's freed up, he can go nuke. You say no, not all of those players can have that ability. I think Scary definitely is. I think he's a young gunner. I think, yes, he's a little bit inexperienced, obviously, being such a young age, but I think for his age, he's doing great in the T3 Siege space.
Yeah, it does sound like that our game is ready to go. We do have all 10 players in lobby, so we should be getting into it shortly. But again, I agree. Just put Scary on Ash. Just put Scary on a prime entry player. And I think, obviously, he has a lot to learn. He is a very young player still. Doesn't have a whole lot of experience compared to especially players like on Thrive. But again, you just, especially when you're in the position where this structure and system that you set up on Chalet had no effect whatsoever, you really just have to go to the bare basics, especially going onto the roles of each player and what they usually do play, no matter if it's Mormon Battalion or their previous teams. And I think just not allowing Scary to be in those positions to be able to shut down those entry engagements. And to be fair, there were times where he was in a position to actually have an effect in the round, get a lot of kills, and deny space taking, especially one position where he was able to deny a plant, and he just was not able to win those gunfights. So, it's not to be saying, that, oh, Mormon Battalion just can't put this kid in the right position. When he wasn't really able to show up 100% of the time on Chalet. But saying that, going on to the map, second map, which is Bank, keep in mind, again, as you said, a 7-1 or a 7-0 doesn't really matter. It's one round. Monty off the board, Ying off the board. These are just bans that are no surprise. Again, hey, nothing out of the ordinary. So on paper, everything should be leaning towards the idea that this should be a close match. And whether or not, it's Mormon Battalion winning, but a 7-1 in what really does feel like Thrive is in the position to have another win like that and shut this out on Bake to the same effect. It's kind of a situation where, Mormon Battalion, especially when they're just not showing up, you can't really do so much in between maps.
Yeah, I mean, the bans weren't that surprising, but I'm going to give you maybe a stat that will surprise some people. There's actually 5 people currently in the lobby that have played every single element series. So you said about experience, those 5 players will definitely have it. being obviously Candle, Brios, Twists, in Rio, so 4 players from Thrive, and obviously the sole left player being Aim Key, playing on 3 different teams for each area as well. So they're the main players that will have that experience to try and lead their team forward. Funny enough, there would have been obviously a former player of Mormon Battalion just about missed out on Element 3 by a single game, and that would have been Scoob if he was still on the team. He would have also gone to all 3, but he isn't here anymore. See, the new player being in, going to be Trevmac. I'm going to see how Thrive will start off on the defense. Obviously, they haven't lost the defense. So throughout, obviously, Chalet, they only needed to win 2. They won both, and now we're going to see if they can continue up their great streak on their defensive rounds. I would say Bank definitely is more of a 50-50 map that could go either way for the attackers or the defenders. Interesting to see how Brios does on the Vigil. I saw him play this in a different Blitz he's confusing me now. He's mesmerizing me. But yeah, I saw him play the Vigil in a different game on Bank in the Blitz series, and he was devastating. He was the elusive man. You could never track him down, but it looks like they have a drone on him. Can they take him out? No! The Boss G Scary misses his shots, and now it's going to be an opening pick to Thrive unless they're able to cut off Brios before he can finish off the young gunner.
Yeah, this is a position where, again, coming off of the last map, Thrive were able to get 7 entry picks out of the 7 rounds that they won. So, you know, getting that entry pick is very important for both teams. But Brios, just don't clear him out. They didn't drone him out. They just gave up. They just thought, oh, hey, he surely can't be here. Maybe he rotated away, but he didn't. Volsper, though, is able to get another one. And with Twist down, even though Brios is going to be able to pick him up, this does put Thrive in a very difficult position with having 2 of the roamers still upstairs. But again, it doesn't even really look like that Mormon Battalion are necessarily aware of it with this drone economy. Just the overall use of how they're not even really using their drones at all is continuing to punish them. They're just vacating that top floor, giving up on trying to clear it, and now just going for these hatches. But Thrive, they're in a position to flank and shut down this attack.
Yeah, still a lot of drones, to be fair, at least on the board. I think, yeah, Trevmac at least has 3 for himself, and then Volsper has the other 2 remaining. So they can at least get somewhat of information, but with how much time was wasted on that roam, 2 minutes gone, and now they have to slowly start not only open the hatches, but still deal with this roam presence of Brios, who's now looking for the ace as he gets a 3rd on Exceed. Trevmac's going to be far away if he wants to try and get that ace. Volsper trying to hunt him down. No diffuser going to be in pocket. It may have to come down 2 frags for the side of Mauritania. Rio still on the middle floor. We're going to see if Volsper can still deal with him. No, Volsper, he just looks like he's going to ignore him. Going to go down these main stairs. Probably too scared to deal with the Boss G of Brios. Trevmac, though, lurking up, at least gets 1 after Twist was able to take down Volsper. So at least there's a trade. He gets another as well. Maybe looking for his 3rd here as well. It's very much in the realm of possibility. 20 seconds left, though. If they just play this maybe a little bit close net, a little bit closer together, it should be an easy round for Thrive. But Trevmac, he'll have something to say about it, but no. Brios 4K on the round. I noted him before the round even started, and he was the man to really do the damage.
Oh, what a way to end the very first round, and a momentum setter at that. But again, it really just looks like that Thrive, or Mormon Battalion, rather, sorry, isn't all there today. I mean, there's situations where they come into an obstacle that Thrive, you know, at their feet is making it very difficult to deal with, and just kind of give up. I mean, that is the best way to put it. Even though that was a very close round, I believe it was a 4v2 that they somehow were able to you know, edge it all the way to a 2v1, which is just honestly astonishing that Thrive were able to throw a couple of picks away that well. But again, you know, especially with Brios, they understood where he was. They understood that he probably was in janitors, and then just assumed that he somehow teleported away. Didn't hear an impact. Didn't even know that there was a rotate, obviously. So their overall intel gathering is not effective because they're just not aware of not only the positions of these Thrive defenders, but even how the entire map is set up.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it looks very poor again coming out from Mormon. Not much has changed from that opening map. We're going to see maybe if they can at least answer it back, make it a little bit closer, get their first attacking round in, 3 defending rounds in a row. But we will see the open area bomb site not going to go to that top floor that a lot of teams like to go to. And AMK, again, I said he did well with the open and pick department in the last map, but takes out Twist, who's going for that jump out early on in the round. I think he was probably using his Mozzie drone, droning it out in that, obviously, that drone hole underneath, trying to get that information early on. Not going to be able to get that pick. And now we're going to see Mormon with a man advantage this time round out early on. Can they establish the lead? It's looking like they want to be going for this vertical control. 3 players on the roof for the side of them. It'll be AMK and Twist. Obviously, also with that RAM gadget, the boogie drones as they're called, they can easily just tear up that flooring to give you so much ground on the site of open area, especially with half that flooring being soft. And now we're still going to see AMK take a lot of ground as well. So they've already gotten, it looks like, most, all of this top floor control. No one from the side of Thrive is actually going to be up here. They're mainly just contesting that horizontal extension.
Yeah, and losing that player, and also the fact that Thrive are not able to get that pick back. Just look, half of the clock, or half of the round now, off of the clock, and they're now just clearing this top floor after getting the very first opening pick. And we can now see that when Mormon Battalion are given an opportunity, when they have a successful opening round, whether that be getting map control, clearing out the roam, or getting a pick, they still move so slow, and it's because they're not 100% on their intel. They're starting not to necessarily doubt themselves, but they're being very cautious, and that's costing them the clock, because after getting that first pick, after getting this plethora of control upstairs, only a minute left on the clock, and they still haven't opened this hatch, and still don't know that there's a player, but somehow, Trevmac, he finds and shuts down Inrio.
Yeah, poor shots coming out from the star player of that last map, missing a lot of those SMG trolls, but a beautiful 180 flick coming out from Trevmac to take him down. But Brios is still going to be all the way in the basement watching that janitor hatch drop, making sure no one can lurk through that area. But Mormon Battalion, they've only got 30 seconds left. They have to somehow try and get probably down this open area hatch and go for the plant. The 0 cam not going to be activated, obviously. 0 now having 6 cams on the board. No one's watching this marble flank. But it looks like they're going to be funneling through this printout window. The diffuser is actually going to be go down. Siege gets the pick, but a wall bang from Moses. The defuse will be fully planted down, and with top floor control advantage established and AMK getting a double, it definitely should be over as he gets a triple against his former team and answers back to give Mormon Battalion a even scoreline and their first defending or attacking round victory.
Great round by Mormon Battalion, and rather great round just from the individual plays that we saw there. Getting that first entry pick, shutting down Twists. Then eventually we saw Trevmac shutting that player, trying to get him on the vertical. If he lost that, that would have just put Mormon Battalion in such a difficult position. And then obviously you had AMQ with the 3K. You don't really need to talk about that. You already know, a 3-piece is just so effective in the round. But that is that individual effectiveness that we didn't see on the map previously. Those gunfights that we saw those players on Mormon Battalion win just last round were gunfights that they lost on Chalet. And obviously, I don't want this point to boil down to just, oh, well, if you win your gunfights, you win the game. It really does come down to positioning. But again, we talked about how, especially in the first round, going into the later half, they had so much drone economy. They had so much utility in that drone area. And again, sure, it did waste them a lot of time in that early half after getting that first pick, but the fact that they were able to pull through and find the late rotations in the positions of those defenders in that execution phase was just wonderful.
Completely agree. I think it was a smart idea for Thrive to obviously, I can't remember who it was, but on the Mozzie to go for that jump out using the drone. But it did feel like maybe AMK remembered how they like to play the map, as they playing each other a lot before on this map especially, and being part of the team. So maybe it was just his knowledge of how they like to play, realizing that they're going to be going for that aggressive play so early on. It does seem like Thrive do like to go for those sometimes. They'd like to go for those spawn peaks. We saw on Chalet, didn't really get a pick from the spawn peaks, but they like to get in your face early on, trying to get the man advantage and control the tempo. And as I'm saying that, Brios gets a very early pick onto Exige. The 0 down, no cameras are going to be on the board for the attackers, and that's a great opening pick so far in this game. Opening picks have been a decider. Both rounds where they've won a round have come down to obviously them having that open pick and being able to spiral forwards. And the question mark, I'm curious to see why they changed the site. Obviously, yes, they were dominated on it. As I'm saying that, Aimkey at least gets the answer back onto Moses. Warden going down, and now those flashbangs, those smokes will be even more important. With no Warden on the board, they won't be able to see through those smokes. They'll be blinded by those flashes, and that's going to be such a great advantage on the board, especially with Aimkey also having full control of this first floor.
Yeah, there's only really 2 factors that Mormon Battalion really have. Before this round, every single round was won by the team that got the first entry pick. And now that puts Mormon Battalion in a position where they have to now find a consistent way to get these entry picks, or rather find a way to start and recover from losing them. Obviously, you don't want to give entry picks away, but you want to find a middle ground. And right now, the only real win position for this entire attack is these opening kills that Thrive continue to give away, exposing their positions, overexposing themselves to these players setting up the crosses. Aimkey finds a second.
I was going to question Trevmac with the LMG, but he's putting that baby to work. He's making it sing. He got a pick on the board. Aimkey and Trevmac, they're putting up the numbers for their team at the moment, being the former SSGA boys. And now it's all up to Candle and Inrio left in this 2v1. Now only Inrio as Candle goes down 0-3 in this game so far. Inrio not really making a splash either, and he's taken down by Bolts, but him and Scary end out that game, or end out the round at least, putting themselves and giving themselves their first lead in this series.
That's exactly what you need from Mormon Battalion. And also, for the very first time in this entire series, after I believe 10 rounds, last round was the very first where we had a team win the round after losing the opening pick. Going back to my point that Mormon Battalion is not a team that is known for having those consistent entries and winning them in the early round, so they do have to find a middle ground, but they're still able to find those entries, every now and again, but also still be in a position, if they do lose those entry picks, be able to reconstruct and recome from losing that first man count. First of all, from getting that answer back, we saw that Aimkey going absolutely huge. And, this has kind of been a telltale story of a lot of Aimkey teams that he's been on, is when he doesn't show up, his team doesn't really have, another player that can really back him up. But on the contrary, when he does show up, it's almost just a dominant win and leads his team to just play a lot more comfortably and a lot more easily. So if Aimkey is able to still consistently show up, whether it be winning those entry engagements or shutting down kills on other parts of the map, then Mormon Battalion, they should be able to potentially claw this map back.
I gotta completely agree. I loved what Aimkey actually did in that last round. He made presence everywhere on that bottom floor. He ashed obviously the barbed wire on top of red. So then they're like, okay, he can come from here. He then walked close up to Marble, pretended to go up there. They're like, okay, now we need to figure out if he's coming up Marble. Then he walked away, and I think he finally walked up square, got a pick. He was basically prodding, looking for the softest area himself. He was basically being 3 people, 3 places at the same time, and he was able to get picks because of that. But now we go back down to the basement where Fire was so dominant on, and there's still a player on the top floor, but Aimkey gets that answer back. Brios again though, getting that opening pick onto the player of Volsper, and I think that may have been diffuser down as well. Yeah, it's inside of Electrical, I think, unless it will just drop down. And now, the curious pick for me right now is going to be Exige. He's on Fuse Shield. Not often do you see, I guess you see it a lot often now just because how big the shield changes have been and how strong they are. It's weird to say, I don't think you'd ever, at least a year ago, I don't think you'd ever think, I can't wait for Fuse Shield to be meta in the game of Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, it is really crazy. Before the shield change, no one played Fuse Shield anywhere. Any form of comp, any form of rank, it just was the definition of useless. It wasn't even in the game. But I really love this Mira because, obviously you don't have that ace, you do have these can openers, but you can't open this default wall. You're going to have to make your way. You're going to have to run through this line of sight being set up by the cross, by this Mira, by Exige. But the problem, or the good thing rather though, is Exige has a shield. He can put it on his back, put him in a little bit of a safer position. But it's not that safe when you have Candle flanking you.
That's just poor. No flank drones established. And he gets a double under Trevmac. No control established. No trades established. It's all up to Exige and Scary in this 2v4 clutch. And it's looking very much impossible for their side. Exige put it all the way down to 40 or 45 HP. Scary, nowhere to be seen right now. He is in square, actually. So he is below Candle right now. Never mind, he's gone back all the way into admin, just going to watch over the hatch, checking if any player will go below. But he's dropped. Do they know he dropped? He at least gets one. Probably not going to be able to get a second, though. Never mind, he may get a second. No, Moses at least shuts him down. A very good round coming out from Fire, but I'm going to say another poor mistake from Mormon Battalion. They had a player dead, so they definitely could have had at least a man onto that flank drone. They probably were on a different flank drone in that situation, and it was just great timing coming out from the K to get that flank down. As like you said, I think Mormon, they were setting up for that plant with the shield going to be on the back of Exige when he was slowly getting that bomb down.
Yeah, and you know, again, just props to that mirror strat. You know, you see it every now and again. I'm not exactly sure where it was.
I first saw M80 do it. I first saw M80 do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Knowing M80, they still lost strat, so you know, I'm gonna go off on a limb and say M80 didn't. But it is a more recent strat. It has really, you know, come into fruition. Just like the a zombie strat on the hatches, that one is really new. That was I guess you could say created by the, I guess now, Furia roster. But again, you know, I really love Bank as, you know, as a whole, because again, you know, every map has its own little pocket meta that, you know, you're not going to be doing that mirror strat on other parts of map. You're not going to be doing that on Clubhouse. You're not going to be doing that over on Consulate. And, you know, it really what makes Bank kind of its really own thing that teams have to bring a specific idea to. And so far, both teams, especially Thrive in that comeback round, have brought, you know, a very tasty and very, you know, unconventional throw to this defense.
Yeah, where Inrio isn't really picking up the numbers he was able to in map 1. We're going to see Brios doing it instead. 7 and 2 for himself on the board. But right now, Thrive, they've won one site twice. I feel like if you want to have a good half, if you want to get that 3-3 or even 4-2 split again, I really think they need to win another bomb site. They haven't been able to so far. Both other bomb sites have been a dominating display for Mormon Battalion. They've looked a lot better. They've shown a lot up in this map so far out, but I do think that's also on the board of maybe Aimkey putting in a couple of hero plays to push them into that advantage, and something similar may have to go down again. Opening pick, though, has not been given away this time around. Obviously, I'm pretty sure it may have been Brios on the Mozzie last time, who just full out sent it out a window trying to get that pick. And he's going to be forced out on that bottom floor. And Aimkey does get the open pick a little bit later this time around out, but Brios answers back onto Scary. A great aggressive play from him. And again, it's him being that sole provider, that spearhead to keep Thrive in these rounds. It's him versus Aimkey right now on that scoreboard.
Yeah, and if you look at this overall defense, all 4 defenders are in the bomb site, allowing for Mormon Battalion to essentially just run around the entire map. No one in archives, no one upstairs, no one roaming. Mormon Battalion has done an outstanding job of essentially just smushing this defense into a confined space, that confined space being the bomb site. There's not a lot of avenues for Thrive to really rotate around and, you know, give Mormon Battalion a challenging position to deal with. And Thrive, just in a difficult position, they just simply have to play their man count, they have to play their swings, and hope that Mormon Battalion either overswing or continue to waste time that they're actually starting to do now.
Yeah, a minute left as Twist takes down Aimkey, a massive pick on the board. I was going to say they're like fish in a barrel right now, all compacted close into sight. But the Azami, that definitely makes it just a lot easier to hold on to because he can play those Keybers in an advantageous situation. Obviously, the Benrama is also going off, giving away the information and slowing down the approach. But Moses on the Azami goes down to Volspa, and then Trevmac also gets taken down. Also takes down Brios. And now we're seeing in this 3v2, Volspa may be looking to try and get this plant down behind that bomb. But the problem is he still has 2 players on the side of Thrive. They're trying to contest him. Never mind, it's only 1, but he's taken down Inrio. Can he find the form he did in that last map? No! Trevmag, the newest star onto Mormon Battalion, becomes their Mormon hero tonight, or their Mormon savior, and has won them their 3rd round and confirms themselves at least an even split.
Yeah, and, it is a very difficult situation for Thrive here, because they've won twice in basement. The only 2 rounds that they have won has been in basement. But, on the other side of things, Mormon Battalion only winning 2 of their 3 rounds in open area. Thrive not really wanting to try and contest and go into that archives position, and because of that, because they don't have, a bigger map rotation or site rotation rather on bank, they've been punished for it. At least for now on the defense, and now they're going to be going back upstairs to this position, because aside from this, their best chance is open area. Not going there again, losing it twice very definitively. And then archives, which again, it's a site that is difficult. It's not necessarily bad, but it is definitely a very difficult bomb site to play. But now going this upstairs position, they just have to play these positions. They have to hold on to these extended areas, just like this, position with the shield right outside of stocks, and also be very cautious of these windows, because last round that was a major factor of that entire Mormon Battalion round.
No, I gotta completely agree, and obviously they need to make sure they kind of slow down Aimkey. He was able to get that bottom floor control so quickly. He's now no longer on maybe a vertical operator, but the Dokube can still make those vertical holes using that DMR, and they're looking like to do a similar take here. You already see a lot of those players on the windows. Curious to see if maybe Thrive will try to go for an aggressive jump out from any of those windows, looking for that early advantage. Nothing really claimed by the attacking side so far, other than Travmac all the way opening up those ATM doors, making sure he has the chance of going in when he wants to, and he's back onto that LMG. Curious to see if he can make it sing for a 2nd round in a row. I think Travmac, he's really popped off in this game so far. Obviously, he'll be looked at, being like, can he maybe fit into this new system? New players will always be looked at, scrutinized early on, and they'll be the main player that everyone wants to see if they can maybe just start off at a great putting. The EMP will be going out here, but the opening pick goes out again. It's going to be Thrive losing that opening pick, or gaining that opening pick like they did last time on this top 4, but this time he doubles up on it. Brios with 2. He has been electric in this game, 10-3. No one is stopping him right now. The Firebot may be coming out to try and stop this bandit. He's already taken down, pretty sure that's 2 Selmas, and there's a player on Spider-Man. Brios trying to take him down. He knows he's there, and he just about misses the opportunity. Scary, keeping away with his life, and now, Brios nearly again with his 3rd, trying to take down Trevmac. No, he takes down Volts, but Trevmac at least refrags, doesn't get 2 as Candle Twist cleans it up, gets at least a 3-3 even half for Thrive in the end. It looked like they went out with a win, but I think the early advantage that Brios gained for them, it just made Mormon Battalion try to get desperate.
A very great answer back, and, winning a bomb site that they previously lost against Mormon Battalion. And I love this out of Mormon Battalion. I've talked about how Mormon Battalion is known for their structure and system that's been built in place, in huge part to Exige as, that team captain in IGL. And because of that, they get so much use out of these timeouts. Not to say that Thrive doesn't either. I think they will get an equal amount of use out of this timeout. But we can already see that Mormon Battalion have either spotted a problem, or rather, they want to talk on a main point. They want to try and set up this defensive half. Try and potentially shut it out in regulation, especially if you take a timeout after an even half going onto your switchover. You 10 times out of 10 should probably go for that regulation. Obviously, everyone should go for regulation, but you should set out a plan, and that's what I think Exige is doing. I think he wants to take him out, to step back, talk with his team, and give them a specific idea, something maybe that is different than that they've done previously on game days on bank going into this defensive half.
Obviously a very strong team on bank, and you're right, Jake Allen, he's a great leader, a Mormon leader. He can always lead his team through the dark times, and we're going to see the same prime bomb site. It does happen a lot. Obviously this basement is a safe haven. You can do so much with it. You can either just go for the full-on bunker, you can go for an extended roam like we saw Thrive do both rounds out, and it paid off very well for them. And looking at the lineup, it does more favor maybe a bunker. You have so much burn on the board. You have Tubro, you have Legion, you have Goyo, all to be burned out. Even the castle burns out time. They have to be able to try and get rid of those castle barricades some way, shape, or form. So much utility will be needed to be brought just to maybe help them clear out a lot of utility that Mormon have brought. Curious to see how this round will shape up to be, but never mind, I may be wrong, as I see both Volsper and Exige on this top floor in the moment in time. So it could be maybe a drop-off strategy where they start on that middle floor and drop off very quickly in the round, as you don't really want to be losing those two burrow canisters that early on.
That's more than likely what it'd be. And I also really love that Goyo coming out from Mormon Battalion, a great operator, specifically on basement of bank, that the bombs that they are playing. They just waste so much time, especially if you have a heavy extension that more than likely Mormon Battalion is bringing out. It allows for those Goyo canisters to get so much more use on the bomb site, because you wasted so much time trying to clear out this position. We can already see that there is a heavy extension all the way over even into archives. So then once you get to that bomb site, you're going to have to deal with these Goyo canisters. That's shoot them. You have to waste time. It's going to put you in a very difficult plant position. And this is already a very great and big obstacle that Thrive is going to have to deal with in this early round. They're going to have to find an answer for it relatively quickly. Sure, they do have a lot of time on the clock, but, you know, the entire side of the attack isn't just clearing these top 3 floors. You still got to get to the bottom. You still have to set up that execution phase, and already we're seeing the use that they got out of that timeout.
Volsper somehow must be kissing his lucky stars as he was vaulting through the window, got shot up quite a lot by Brios, all the way down to 5 HP. One more bullet, if it just tickled him slightly, would have taken him down, but he's able to stay away with his life as the opening pick goes the way of the Mormon Battalion. And now we're going to see if they can spiral on forward, as they, like you said, they've got so much burn. They're still on this secondary floor as well, as they haven't really been able to get any control of this open area. 2 players still going to be standing in their way. They think someone's on the blue, so that's not going to be in the case. A lot of shots being rang out. Moses taking some damage. Do they know that there's also a second player deep on the left corner of the open area bomb site? As he's actually dropped, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Tubaro dropped. And they do. Brios takes down Exige, but the C4 comes out. Trevmac refrags in the end, and now we're sitting at a 4-3-3 with 45 seconds on the board. Hatches still need to be open. Goyo canisters still can be extended. There's no C4s left on the board, so that's one positive for the side of Thrive. And the fact that they've just got another pick all the way from server? That is a great angle being found from Twist, but a very, very poor moment coming out from Scary. And now we're going to see if they can... You see the pro coming out. He's trying to get deep in the site. Maybe go for this plant here. No, he doesn't have diffuser. He's just trying to get a situation twist here. I love the army crawl, though, coming out from him.
Oh,
Never mind. Oh, never mind. It's those 2 names you see again. Aimkey and Trevmac getting the final 2 picks. I like the idea. It just didn't really bell well, as soon as he stood up, Trevmac then looked his way and shot him in the face. Aimkey finishes it off with a double. They're the 2 men that are really putting great numbers up. I'm pretty sure both Aimkey and Trevmac actually got a double in that round, and now they get the lead right back from Mormon Battalion.
Yeah, you know, that entire first half of the round for Thrive was relatively fine. You got that even 3-3 man count. Then it came to that execution that was just, what the hell? I don't know. You know, that was a horrible execute. You know, and you know, it happens. It is the very first attacking round on basement. That is just one of, if not, you know, top 5 most difficult bomb sites to attack on, especially to execute. And when you're not able to get that single wall open, it just makes it really difficult. And, you know, the mirror is still being up on board, and that player allowed to play there. Even though the flash did come out, it only pushed her out of that position for just 2 to 3 seconds. Retook that mirror window right after that flash duration went away. But now, Thrive, now having been attacking this CO bomb site, Mormon Battalion going to what is more relatively expected out of a rotation, going to that basement, now going up to CO and offices. And again, you can already see that Mormon Battalion just absolutely loves this castle. But more importantly, doubling up these castle barricades in this little connector compared to Thrive, where they only had the right side.
See, I think that's a really bad play.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
I think putting both
Yeah.
there, it just allows a completely free rappel in towards that connector area. So I think that could actually come out as a blunder. I don't know, maybe if Scary placed one down that you shouldn't have, or that generally is in the trap, but I would say, yeah, I'm questioning that already coming out for the side of Mormon Battalion. But at the moment, a minute gone, no pick going either side. Very slow round, surprisingly, for this game so far.
Yeah, it is a contrast compared to what we saw last time from Thrive. Obviously, there is a lot more map you have to work with, or utility rather, because Spank as a whole, it's relatively similar in size, but because just the entirety of, main, cache is just kind of oblivious. It doesn't really have an effect on the map itself, aside from just in this position. Okay, we got it. There is going to be a lot more defender utility piled up. Because of this allows for Thrive to find, better entry points. And you can already see that Mormon Battalion not putting a whole lot of use or position on this first floor, but Brio shutting down aim key early is going to be an absolute huge pick to start off the round.
We have some time.
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
3v4! Now a 2v3, a huge play with the shotgun, but the C4 also shot out from Trev. Essentially now a 2v2. Scary is going to be downed all the way in janitors. He's in a position where you almost certainly cannot get him. But Twist on the rappel, now repelling Exige, taking a couple of shots. Somehow, he's not able to get it. Now, all up to Trev. Brand new player up against Twist. It's not going to be anything whatsoever. Thrive finally getting their very first attacking round and finally answering back.
I missed most of that round. I had a little bit of issue going through it. In the end, getting the round for Thrive, and this is seeming like a similar situation to what happened on Thrive's own defending rounds, where they look very dominant on one bomb site, the basement. They were very strong on, but then maybe not being able to close out a different site. But that's too soon, as they still have a third and maybe even a fourth site they can test out, as we will see the staff and open area bomb site coming out, and maybe they can be a little bit more successful on it than Thrive were, as they're looking at their lineup. They maybe will go for a more of an extended roam, as you will see Scary maybe getting a little bit more loose on the defense this map out, no longer being put onto that cage. Well, he's banned, to be fair, so he can be put on anyway, but he's going to be given that Vigil Boss G, a overpowered gun. Let's be honest, in this current meta, one shot to the body and you're dead. And even the SMG-12, not as overpowered, but also, especially if you can control the recoil, the kick, it's very good. 32 bullets that can hit SMG at that fire rate. Scary could do some great numbers, and he's going for an early spawn peak right now.
Yeah, it really goes back to the idea that if you have a player in an entry position that is underperforming, there's really only two avenues to fix it. Either you continue to put him in those entry positions, the option that Mormon Battalion has chosen thus far, or take him out, put him on a more flex or support role, than having a player that's having a better game slot into it. And I really love that, Mormon Battalion is not only relying on their structure, but also relying on Scary as a player and putting faith in him in his position. And oh my god, Wolfsburg just missing an opportunity to shut down Brio, who in itself has had an absolutely phenomenal game. But you can see right now that Thrive aren't really in a hurry to put a lot of pressure over into this position. As I say that, Brios, he gets two! Shutting down Aim Key and Exige!
And he appears. Rios with the double, the board, continuing his great plays throughout this game, maybe being able to get the third. Wolfsburg, you got to say, you said he missed that opportunity, and this now seemed like a massive missed opportunity. The fact that Rios was then later able to get a double, just imagine it out in the end.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Is now in sight. Trev, Scary! with another on the candle. Even it out now to a 2v3. And what about another one for Scary finally showing up in a moment that matters the most? He sees the head, but somehow Twist is able to shut him down, putting Trevmac yet again into another 1v2. Just Inrio and Twist to shut it down, and it's Twist yet again on the DMR to not only shut it down, but also give Thrive the lead up now, 5-4.
Yeah, Scary did it. 5'2". Hey, yeah. I'm a person that's well, to be fair, I'm taller than 5'2", so. He did his best, obviously. Scary finally being able to let loose a little bit, and he shows why he probably had done so. I would kind of say it comes down to that opening engagement. Volt, like you said, he missed the opportunity to kill out, and then get a double for the board, continuing up, putting up fantastic numbers. He's already actually the Inrio's kills from I mean rounds. It has been 9 rounds this time and not 8 rounds last time.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a closer scenario here now, and I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but even with it being a 5-4 scoreline, it really does still feel like Thrive overall has had the control of the momentum throughout all of Bank. And it's just simply, again, leading off of map 1 on Chalet, just having a better understanding of not only how Mormon Battalion plays as a whole, but also plays both of these maps. Obviously, Mormon Battalion faring a little bit better on Bank, getting the better of them compared to Chalet. Haven't completely figured them out, but the capability for individual players on Thrive, no matter who it is. We saw Inrio go 17-3, now 2-6. It doesn't matter. Rios picking up where he left off, now 17-6. That inconsistent frag problem isn't really there for Thrive. Well, it is still a little bit of a problem for Mormon Battalion. Aimkey, sure, he's having a great game, but you have players like Scary or that are slowing down. Trevmac also putting up absolutely great numbers. It's kind of a situation where Mormon Battalion, they need to find that consistency. They need to find a formula that can work round in, round out.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them, but they get to go back down to the basement where they found great success in the end, and if they are able to at least win this round out, it feels a little bit close. Obviously, it then goes back to even 5-5, but just like Thrive had to do, they have to win another bomb. It's like Scary getting that opening pick, he's getting that freedom, but who else but Brios to answer back, get that trade back onto the board, and even up the man count. The lucky thing for Mormon, it was a good trade. Buck goes down, probably had some heartbeat charges or even flashbangs, and all they lose is really... Oh, never mind, it was Legion. I thought it was Goyo. I am blind. Scary going down actually isn't as good as you'd think, because obviously still has those Legion mines, can go off throughout the game. But other than that, I would say it's a better trade for the side of Mormon Battalion. Losing that Buck is very big, as he no more vertical control going to be able to be established, and probably hard reach counters at Nick Siege. Looks away at the wrong time, and Brio's able to get a double on the board. Very unfortunate timing, as now he is 1 kill away from that 20 bomb. A miraculous step up for him. Inrio probably, obviously, definitely isn't putting up the same numbers as he did in that previous map, but at least Brios can answer back for his former aerialized teammate as he gets a triple kill. These new boys, what have Thrive fed them as a quad kill? The ace can come out, but no. Brios drops to his death. 21 damn kills. Trevmac has it all to do. Their own new boy, their own new player. Can he clutch out? He can't do it. He couldn't clutch out last round. He can't clutch out this round, as Thrive get map and series point already.
Again, just going back to that idea that Thrive just has a better read onto Mormon Battalion, on top of Mormon Battalion just not really showing up. But throughout both of these maps, they've now started to really fall behind on Bank, and it's a difficult situation. Because, again, what can you do when you have an individual player who's just absolutely popping off? And I do think, it's a situation where, Brios and both Brios and Inrio are great players. But it's not an everyday thing where they drop 20 kills, right? That's just not possible for a player to drop every time. And it's kind of a situation where Mormon Battalion are giving up these positions that are not only just core, especially to what Thrive is bringing on the attack, but also they're very stale. Mormon Battalion will, do this thing, especially on the roam and extension, where, if they lose map control, they'll just hold on to whatever they have. And that allows for Thrive to take all the time possible to drone them out, and then essentially where 1 to 2 players are for the entirety of a round. If you don't continue, or start to rather, change things up on this positioning, whether it be the roam or in the bomb site itself, Thrive is going to continue to get these easy reads.
Curious to see why Mormon have decided to switch sides. Was the only site they've won is going to be a basement, and Twist goes to get the opening pick. Wolfsburg goes down, question mark in chat, and Thrive have a great advantage going into this round now, sitting up 5v4, looking to maybe end this game out already. I was going to question the site selection. I don't know why they just didn't go down to that basement site a second time around. They could have maybe gone out for the bunker this time around, especially with how defender decided that map actually is, or that site is, for Bank, and the fact that they were able to win it out. And now with a man deficit in a bomb site that they still have yet to win, I don't think any attacker has actually won this bomb site, or any defender has actually won this bomb site. So it's curious to see if they can actually. Oh no, sorry, Thrive did win it. That was one of the other bomb sites they won. But now Mormon have to do the exact same thing. They have to win this, and then they have to either win basement and open if they want to at least get it to overtime, not even win the map out. Brios looking for anything he can find inside of stock. Obviously, his players pushing in towards. It looks like it's going to be a square execute with, obviously, Inrio going to stay out on those windows to try and flame off the player that's going to be playing behind the mirror, which will be Trevmac. Not a lot of control though established in early on actually from Mound Ground. A lot of them still outside the window, but as I'm saying that, Candle gets the next pick onto Scary. It's all left up to Siege, Trevmac, and Aimkey, the 3 most experienced players on the roster. Can they get it done?
Minute now left on the clock. A 5v3 for Thrive. This still is not out of the question for Mormon Battalion to start to bring it back, especially if Aimkey can shut down Candle, but the problem is he's so low on health, and Brios has not stopped shooting. 22 now on the map. Adds another one to his belt, and it's all up to Exige and Trev in a 2v4. Now making a 1v4 as Moses gets one onto Trev. The bomb going down. They know where this player is. He's inside of that elevator, and it's Twist to shut down Exige. Jake Allen, the man himself. And Mormon Battalion, they fall short on both maps, leading to a 2-0 for Thrive.
Yeah, Brios kind of ran the show. It was his map in the end. We had the Inrio show map 1 with the Brios show map 2. So Thrive very much proving that their pickups were a great idea. Both of those players starring in their own way. The ex-aerialized boys and Thrive, they look dominant, honestly. They look like one of the favorites to maybe win it out. They're showing that Lycus loss was probably just a little blip on their display. After winning 3Z, they're looking to go all the way, winning Blitz, becoming maybe the new top team in T2 after Maker's probably going to be going on to Pro League soon, most likely, or ex-Maker's going to go into Pro League soon.
Yeah, the best T2 team in the world. And also, fun fact, Makers can play E4. They're completely eligible. That is crazy to me. Just a little fun fact, but yeah. But still, yeah, Thrive continuing to just be that consistency. I think Brios being added to the roster is just absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, you saw a little bit of banter, contrasting Aimkey, him being removed from the roster. He is a player that has a lot of potential, but, nothing personal. Brios is just a player, not with only more experience, but consistently better on that entry position. Aimkey did have a lot of good rounds, but again, it only took just really a couple of rounds for Thrive to really set into Bank, to really shut it down and get those reads that eventually Mormon Battalion just did not do a good enough job at adapting to give them something different to deal with.
I mean, obviously did have a sub, so they had to work through that, but Scary has played most of their games for Blitz, so it didn't feel like a sub. But with Trevmac getting used to the team, maybe they can slowly get more more reps in and prove a little bit more throughout this series, and maybe even go on to the final and see Thrive again. But they do also obviously have fluffy aimers to also try to combat with. But I think Thrive, they've put a really good dent in their group. 3 points for them, that now puts them up to 9 points, and second, I'm pretty sure joint first in their group, with Lycos also being on 9 points, getting away from TSG Black, who apparently are still going to be playing in Blitz this season. But a great game overall. Very excited what both teams can eventually do. But as a meme, the oldest time, I'm pretty sure Aimkey's actually the one that started it. The best T2 team wins out today, and we're going to see if they can continue going forward. But that's it from us tonight. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, observers. Thank you, production. And thank you, Goose, as well, for casting it with me.
Yeah, it has really been a pleasure. And we have, I believe, after today, this was the final day for week 3. Week 4 starts tomorrow, and we only have 4 play days left. It's going to start to get very close, especially with Division 4. But as you know, my co-caster Milo said, that's all we have for tonight. So, you know, from us and the production staff, we hope you have a great night.
Good night, guys.
Feelings. It's like I can't walk on the ceiling. Oh yeah, got me dreaming, dreaming in colors I never dreamed in. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me dear.